Okay guys and dolls, welcome to Honey Badger 3D Print and Paint. Today, how do you automate your Ender 3 so that it prints continuously and you never have to touch it? First of all, roll those credits. Okay, so before we get started, I just want to do a quick video of this machine in action. So here that is. Okay, so what this machine does is it takes your relatively inexpensive Ender 3 and it turns it into an automated workhorse. It allows you to queue up your prints and allows you to sequentially print them. Everything that is printed here was printed with no interaction from me except for one filament change. So I had some sample filament that I had left over and I printed these 4 calibration cubes back to back, and then I printed the obligatory benchy boat. I appreciate this is a different kind of benchy. I'll put the link to the video, the link to those in the video description. And then everything you see in black printed over the course of 2 days with no interaction from me at all. I didn't touch it, I didn't check on it, I just left it to go and off it went. This, when it comes to printing miniatures especially, changes the game, because I don't know how you guys feel or what your experience is with your machines, but I run my machines sort of as much as I can, but I am also acutely aware of the fact that I have a significant amount of downtime. So I have time where I've gone to bed and this finishes at 1 in the morning, and then between 1 and 6, I could have probably got another print out of the machine, but I don't. Now, I only do this as a hobby, so that's more frustrating than an actual issue for me. But obviously, when it comes to you, using your printer to make money, which a lot of people do, downtime costs you money. You know, it costs you shipping times, it costs you days, it costs you customers in some cases. This machine eliminates that downtime. So the guys over at 3DQ have tested the Quinly upgrade, and they have had it running for 1,000 hours across 4 machines, and I believe they had 99.3% uptime. The only thing they had to do was they had a clogged nozzle on one of their machines. They had to change that nozzle and then they carried on printing. So without further ado, that's what the machine does. So what do you need? So when you buy your own Ender 3, so you do not have to purchase the machine from 3DQ. You can just buy your Ender 3 in the country of your choice. You then get the 3DQ upgrade system. So the 3DQ upgrade system consists of this new textured sheet. I thought originally it was a PEI sheet. It is not. So you do not use any additives or adhesives on this bed. If you do, you'll actually damage it. You actually can't use any. So this basically, when it heats up, becomes super adhesive, and all of my prints stuck with no issues, regardless of size. And when it cools down, it releases the print to the point as to which you can almost blow on it, and it just skitters off the bed. You will get some 3D printed brackets that will go left and right. These tilt the machine at a 45-degree angle. These are really just there to assist with the removal process, to make sure that when a print is removed, it can it sort of goes with gravity and it falls straight off the machine. You get these 3D printed parts here, which are sort of skirts to make sure that no print falls off the side and goes into your mechanisms or anything else. You also get a couple of options for mounting your screen in a different place should you wish to, so on and so forth. You will also need a Raspberry Pi. Now I'm using a Pi 4. The guys have tested this on a 3B as well, and it does work, although I would recommend you use the 4, just because it's just got that much more power that you're not going to get any throttling, you're not going to get any issues. And if you want that continuously running, personally I would just use a Pi 4. Other than that, there really aren't that many changes to make to the machine at all. So there is a firmware change that flashes onto the ender. As you can see, I've got a BL Touch on mine. The main reason I put the BL Touch on was I just feel like if I'm going to be running the machine continuously without me touching it or being involved, I really felt like using the BL Touch was going to be the best way to do that. You don't have to use a BL Touch, just to be clear. The guys at 3DQ have pre-compiled firmware for non-BL Touch enders as well. They support both the Ender 3 and the Ender 3 V2. This Ender 3 is an Ender 3 Pro, and it has the 4.2.1 board in it, I think, or the 4.2.2 board, but irrespective, it's got the silent board in it, and it works just fine. Basically, you will go onto 3DQ's UI, you upload your file to that, much like you would with Octoprint. It assigns it to the queue, and then off you go. And then it runs your queue. So you've got your 5 files in your queue, and it will finish one, cools the bed down, removes the print, and then immediately goes on to the next print in the queue, and continues until the queue is empty. You can add multiples of a particular file, so you can print 4 calibration cubes rather than adding a calibration cube 4 times. You can print different geometries. It does not put any limitations on your machine. This is printed in PETG. This is printed in PLA. The quality is brilliant. Again, the quality that I see in these models really is no different to the quality you would expect to get from a regular, well-tuned Ender 3 anyway. You make no changes to your profile. I'm using Cura for all of these. I did find I had a little issue where Simplify 3D seemed to be playing about with my BL Touch poorly, so I just stopped using that, switched to Cura, and Cura was working fine. That's not a 3DQ issue, it was a Simplify issue. And yeah, it just works. So, I mean, the potential for this is that it's a genuine alternative to the likes of the 3D print mill. So the 3D print mill are the continuous belt printing printers, which, you know, work, but they have caveats. So they change the way that you slice, they change the way that you deal with your geometries, because they are now printing at a 45-degree angle. Remember, this printer is tilted at a 45-degree angle, but as far as the machine's concerned, it's still printing as it normally would anyway. It's not changing the orientation of the tool head, because the bed is still a relative 90 degrees to the tool head. Now, the belt printers are fine, but they have different textured bed surfaces. I've seen a couple of people who have been testing them, and personally, I'm not particularly happy with the surface finish. Whereas, as you can see on the bottom of these, we are nice and shiny. So this is as if you were printing on glass. Let me just get this bust a bit closer to the camera so you can see the kind of quality that we are looking at with this system. So this is printed at a 1/6 layer height. All of these details are part of the model. They all print as one. I used Cura, the latest version, and I was using a profile that I think I found on the Creality group. You can see nice and consistent bottom layer, nice and consistent layers there. But again, we're not really here to evaluate the quality of Ender 3s. We're here to talk about this particular system. So imagine you have an Etsy shop, you have 4 or 5 Ender 3s that you've got set up, all of which are on the 3DQ, and all you need to do is load up your products and print them as and when you need to. It is a genuinely impressive system. I'm particularly impressed with the bed. So I appreciate there are a number of people out there who print on glass, mirrors, PEI sheets, steel spring, and they don't have to use any adhesives in some instances. But my experience is the vast majority of people do have to use some sort of adhesive, or in the case of like glass and PETG, you have to use a releasing agent, otherwise the PETG will more than likely take a chunk of your glass out. As I say, I've tried PETG and I've tried PLA. I have also done a couple of ABS prints on this. They didn't, you know, they printed, but I can't seem to find wherever I put them. So they're not in this particular video, but they printed fine. They all stuck to the bed with no adhesion issues. The ABS did not warp, despite the fact that I haven't got an enclosure on this machine. And I'm genuinely really impressed with it. So, okay, it's a little, you probably have to rethink some of your shelving options if you've suddenly got to tilt your machine at 45 degrees. The only thing that is a touch of a frustration at the moment is that obviously Ender 3s don't come with a filament sensor. So if you're printing continuously, you do need to keep an eye on your filament levels. I haven't been using this spool. As you know from my workshop, I mount all of my spools up on the wall. And as a result, I have actually been using a 4 kilo spool, which this has been chugging through quite nicely, doing everything that it's been doing. I'm really impressed with it. I'm really excited about what that could potentially mean when 3DQ potentially move to other machines. So they've started with the Ender 3 because it's an entry-level machine that people are using in their farms. And I've seen plenty of people who have Ender 3 farms. And obviously what they're trying to do is they're trying to make sure that they're getting it right on a core platform, and then they want to build out from there. So don't be surprised if you start to see Creality, you know, CR10s, CR10 Pros or CR10 Maxes, maybe even seeing some Ender 5 stuff, where we start to see them tilting the cubes and things like that, because firmware wise they're not fantastically different, and obviously this bed sheet is sizable to whatever they need. Now they don't currently sell the bed surface separately. I have begged and pleaded with them to do so, and I think that is something they are definitely considering. So definitely let me know in the comments, guys, if you like to buy the bed sheet and not the whole automated piece, because that's definitely feedback that I would be sending back to 3DQ so that they can start to get an understanding of what the appetite is. But I mean, this bed, it works like Ultra Glass. So Ultra Glass are the beds where, as they cool down, they actually shrink slightly, and the bed and the prints just pop off the bed. This works in a very, very similar way, but again, no adhesives, no hairspray, no blue tape, no slurries, no Pritt stick or anything like that, no 3D lac. And again, if you were to use any of those on this, you can actually damage the bed. So you can't use any of those. None of these required a raft, so adhesion was not an issue. All of these printed without supports, and all of the PLA printed with tree supports. Again, no issue with the support adhesion either, bearing in mind how thin the tree support walls are. Did not care, did it perfectly, time and time again. So far, since doing these tests, I have had no fails on this machine yet. So anything that I have put on, it has turned into a click and forget machine. I've had Ender 3s before, they haven't been like that. So I'm incredibly impressed that this is an upgrade to this machine that I wholeheartedly recommend. Now, let's get to price. Okay, so we have a couple of options on price. If all you want is the Quinly system, not the Raspberry Pi, you do need the Raspberry Pi to get it working, but maybe you've already got one. It's $199. Okay, this ships from North America, actually from Canada. It will include the bed, and then as you can see here, it includes the aluminium extrusions, the 3D printed parts, a few bits and bobs with screws and things like that. So you can just see it here. Once again, doing just, it's amazing. Just bump, pushes the chainmail off, clears the bed. And this is with something that's super, super flexible as well, guys. You know, the chainmail is individually linked, and then you can see almost gone. And then there it is, flopped off the bed. Bed's nice and clear, and you're away. So you can see here, these are the 3D printed brackets that you get that go onto the aluminium extrusions, and this is the bed surface that you get. You can also buy it as a bundle kit. So for $330, you can get the Raspberry Pi kit as well, which comes with the Pi, it comes with the case and the fan and all of that good stuff as well. So there's a lot of things about this system that I love. I genuinely love the level of engagement that I've had with the devs. So there is a Discord group for people who have bought this system, and I'm genuinely impressed at how responsive all of the devs are, how open to new ideas they are, and how they've accepted feedback. There are multiple YouTube reviewers who have reviewed these machines, and their reviews are coming out as well. And it's been something that they have listened to the community of reviewers, and they've incorporated that feedback directly into their releases. They're still in the process of continuing to develop their UI, so they're looking at things like Etsy store, Etsy store integration, so you can automate printing there. They're looking at a lot of different things, as well as I said before, moving from Ender 3s over to other machines. But I mean, guys, this does take a lot of the frustration out of regular 3D printing. It takes a lot of frustration out of using a Raspberry Pi. So if you have to use Octoprint, there are some occasions where setting up Octoprint can be a bit of a pain. The Quinly stuff is burn it onto an SD card. You change the Wi-Fi supplicant so that you can access it, and then you're pretty much set up straight away. There's no setup past that point. I'm genuinely really impressed with the quality that the Ender has maintained as a result of doing this, but also in the time saved. These small things, they are just small, but if I was printing these normally, I'd say put this on at 10 o'clock at night. It's probably an hour's print. So that would be done at 11. I could and did print everything else here by the time I got up in the morning. But under normal circumstances, I would have had to have been there to play about with everything, to fiddle with everything, to take it off and put the next one on and clear the bed and everything else. And I would have, what did take me 6 or 7 hours would have taken me probably 1 or 2 days. So if you want, especially things like your miniature detritus and things like this, is a little stack of books that you can get, and this is a little sort of witches' cauldron, mages' chests and things. If you just need sort of regular stuff to just decorate your play space with, oh my God, that's literally 7 hours worth of printing, but you don't have to fill your build plate and end up trying to do multiple prints where retraction is an issue, or one print fails and it knocks everything else off the bed or anything like that. It just worked. So 100% recommend it, guys. I'll put the link to their shop down below. But thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe.